From gunning for each other on the streets of Jacksonville and occasionally killing innocent bystanders, to celebrating the death of each other's family members and their numerous R-rated diss tracks, the feud between drill rappers Julio Foolio and Yungeen Ace, involving their respective gangs ATK and KTA, has left a trail of devastation, claiming lives and instilling fear in the Jacksonville community. The origins of Jacksonville's ATK and KTA. The feud between Jacksonville gangs ATK and KTA, represented by Yungeen Ace and Julio Foolio respectively, is among the most intense and tragic rivalries in the rap world. Since the feud began, it has led to the deaths of countless members and some repugnant but popular rap disses in the drill rap scene. However, to understand the origins of this deadly conflict, we need to dig into the backgrounds of these two prominent gangs, the rappers representing them, and the initial events that sparked the feud. In 2017, 10 key members of Problem Child Entertainment, or PCE, were charged under the Federal Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, or RICO. What appeared to be a music group on the surface was, in reality, a ruthless gang deeply entrenched in a myriad of criminal activities. The gang's operations were primarily based on the northwest side of Jacksonville, Florida, where they sought to establish dominance through sheer violence and intimidation. PCE's criminal portfolio was extensive and alarming. The gang was involved in a series of robberies that terrorized local businesses and residents. These robberies were not just about theft, they were often accompanied by brutal violence, leaving victims traumatized and communities living in fear. Shootings were another grim hallmark of PCE's reign. The gang members were known to carry firearms and use them without hesitation. Over the years, dozens of firearm-related incidents were directly linked to PCE members. One of the most heart-wrenching incidents linked to PCE was the tragic drive-by shooting that claimed the life of 22-month-old Aiden McClendon. On January 29, 2016, Aiden was in a parked car with his mother and great-grandmother outside their home on Spearing Street. In a horrifying turn of events, the toddler was caught in the crossfire of a drive-by shooting. The intended target was Aiden's cousin, who was associated with the Out East gang and had a dispute with PCE. This senseless act of violence shocked the community and became a significant turning point in the investigation. The gang's involvement in drug trafficking further fueled their criminal empire. PCE members were deeply entrenched in the illegal drug trade, distributing narcotics across their territory. This not only brought in substantial profits, but also contributed to the cycle of violence and crime in the community. Murders were another dark chapter in PCE's history. The gang was linked to multiple homicides, each more gruesome than the last. These murders were often the result of internal disputes, rivalries with other gangs, or efforts to silence those who dared to oppose them. The community lived in constant fear, knowing that crossing paths with PCE could have deadly consequences. Nonetheless, the end of PCE was rubber-stamped after the arrest of key individuals like Charles Ben Howell, Monteco Devontae Brown, Jalen Keon Baker, Cynthia Keshenry Hayes, Tesmond Mitchell, Danny Juwan Haddon, Rashawn Verdell Jackson, Andre Ricardo Fuller, Quame Requan Richardson, and Henry Lee Hayes IV. The RICO charges against the PCE members carry potential prison sentences of up to 30 years each, not including other charges some of the suspects faced. It looked like the Jacksonville community had ridden themselves of gang violence. Sadly, that peace didn't last long, because out of the demise of PCE rose two of the most dangerous gangs in Jacksonville today. The downfall of PCE, marked by the arrests of its top 10 members on murder and firearm charges, left a power vacuum in Jacksonville's criminal underworld. This void was soon filled by a new and equally ruthless gang, KTA. The formation of KTA can be traced back to Charles Jones, better known by his street name, Folio. Growing up in the violence-ridden neighborhoods of Jacksonville, Folio was no stranger to the harsh realities of gang life. He had lost many friends to gun violence, and this personal history of loss and survival shaped his approach to leadership. Folio's rise to power began in the chaotic aftermath of the PCE arrests. With the gang's leadership decimated, the remaining members were left without direction. Folio, with his deep understanding of the streets and his connections within the gang, stepped in to fill the leadership void. Under his guidance, these remnants of PCE rebranded themselves as KTA, which stands for Kill Them All. However, on the opposite side of the city lay another gang, the Yungeen, a formidable presence in Jacksonville's west side, known for its tight-knit community and ruthless enforcement of its territory. Among its ranks was a young and ambitious rapper named Yungeen Ace. Born Keonta Bullard, Yungeen Ace grew up in the rough neighborhoods of Jacksonville, surrounded by violence and hardship. His talent for rapping quickly gained him local fame, but it also brought him into contact with the city's gang culture. As Ace's music career took off, he began interacting more with gangs on the east side of Jacksonville. This led to the formation of ATK, a gang that would soon control both the west and east sides of the city. The name ATK is believed to stand for various things, including AC's Top Killers, Aim to Kill, or simply Attack. Under Ace's leadership, ATK grew in power and influence, becoming a dominant force in Jacksonville's underworld. The initial causes of the rivalry between ATK and KTA were rooted in a complex web of personal vendettas, territorial disputes, and a deep-seated need for respect and honor. According to Folio, there are three main reasons why gangs often go to war: disrespect, protecting the memory and honor of fallen friends, and territory. While territory wasn't the primary reason for the ATK-KTA feud, instances of disrespect between the two gangs date back years, with Foolio and Yungeen Ace representing rival gangs and contesting for popularity in the Jacksonville drill scene. Their eventual clash was inevitable. One of the most obvious shows of disrespect between the two gangs occurred at a concert where members from both gangs were present. Despite the tension, they attempted to form a truce by shaking hands. However, one member refused, leading to a fistfight and ultimately a series of retaliatory shootings. Foolio suffered one of the first significant blows of the feud. In 2017, Foolio's cousin Zion Brown was tragically murdered inside his home at 1 in the morning. The incident was a devastating blow to Foolio and his family. Zion was at home with his family at the Brown family home on North Rawhide Trail near Jams Road in Jacksonville when at 1:30 in the morning, the sound of breaking glass pierced the night as an intruder forcefully entered the home by smashing a sliding glass door. The sudden intrusion sent shockwaves through the household, and panic quickly set in. The intruder, later identified as 19-year-old DeAndre Jaquez Thomas from Orange Park, wasted no time in unleashing a barrage of gunfire. The rapid succession of gunshots echoed through the home, striking multiple family members. 18-year-old Zion was among those hit, suffering multiple gunshot wounds. Two young girls, aged 9 and 16, were also struck by bullets, adding to the chaos and terror of the moment. Emergency responders arrived swiftly, and the injured were rushed to UF Health Jacksonville. Despite the best efforts of medical professionals, Zion succumbed to his injuries, leaving his family and the community in mourning. The 9-year-old girl, who had also been shot, underwent surgery and was expected to recover. The 16-year-old girl, though injured, was treated and released from the hospital on the same day. The man arrested for the crime, DeAndre Thomas, was associated with Yungeen Ace, and Foolio and gang members didn't need to look too far away from who was responsible. You see, 7 months before Thomas shot Zion, he and Yungeen Ace were both implicated in a robbery where the two conspired to rob someone who was reportedly selling marijuana. So, for Foolio and KTA, Zion's death was a personal attack on Foolio and KTA in general. The response also had to match the circumstances. So June 5th, 2018 started as a night of celebration for Yungeen Ace and his close friends. They were out to mark the birthday of one of their best friends, a rare occasion for the group who usually preferred the safety of home-cooked meals over dining out. Ace, his brother Trevon Bullard, and their friends Jacoby Groover and Royale Devon Smith Jr. were in high spirits as they drove along Town Center Parkway in Jacksonville in a silver Chevrolet Cruze. Ace had insisted on going out that night, wanting to make the birthday special. He later recounted how they were laughing and enjoying themselves, completely unaware of the impending danger. The streets they thought they knew so well turned into a deadly trap. Just before 11 p.m., a car pulled up alongside them. Without any warning, gunfire erupted, shattering the night. The attackers showed no mercy, spraying the car with bullets. The scene was chaotic, filled with the sounds of gunshots and screams. Ace was hit 8 times, but miraculously, he survived. His brother Trevon, along with Jacoby and Royale, were not as fortunate. They lost their lives in this brutal and senseless act of violence. Just months after Foolio lost his cousin at the hands of one of Yungeen Ace's goons, the rapper was paid in kind with the death of his brother and best friend. These two attacks built the foundation of the deadly war that would ensue between the two gangs. Jacksonville's ATK and KTA's deadly war. After the attack on Yungeen Ace that led to the death of his brother Trevon Bullard and best friends Royale Devon Smith Jr., known as 23, and Jacoby Dashad Groover, Julio Foolio made several posts on social media dignifying the killings. He even created a t-shirt with a photo of Royale Devon Smith Jr., also known as 23, that read, "Rest in Piss 23. The violence continued in January 2019 with another mass shooting outside Paradise Gentlemen's Club on Bay Meadows Road. Willie Addison, a rapper known as Boss Goon, was killed after performing at the club. Family members of ATK rapper Ksu, whose real name is Hakeem Robinson, were injured in the shooting, including his father, Abdul Robinson, who was shot in the back. In a retaliatory attack later that month, Charles Quentin McCormick Jr., a KTA rapper known as Lil Buck, was shot and killed. The bloodshed didn't stop there. In February 2019, Julio Foolio's younger brother, 16-year-old Adrian Denard Gaynor Jr., also known as Bibby, was gunned down at a Moncrief area apartment complex. Julio Foolio and his girlfriend were both injured in separate shootings, clear attempts on their lives. Hakeem Robinson Robinson, aka Xu, celebrated these killings by featuring the fallen KTA members on the cover of his album Bibby Out, named after Julio Foolio's little brother. This act of provocation further fueled the cycle of violence. In March 2019, Yungeen Ace narrowly escaped death again in Waycross, Georgia. A 30-year-old man was killed in the shooting, and 3 men were arrested. The Jacksonville Sheriff's Office arrested Xu in March, charging him with the murders of Bibby and Lil Buck. This arrest came after months of Xu posting videos bragging about the killings and taunting Julio Foolio about smoking Bibby. Julio Foolio retaliated by posting videos of himself taunting ATK and Yungeen Ace, boasting about who I'm smoking, which included Ace's brother and rapper 23. Foolio and his gangs would take the feud to another level with an incident that shocked the entire city. Foolio, along with members of Bully Gang and 6 Block, which the rapper is also associated with, went to a cemetery to film a music video for Jake Jett, a Bully Gang rapper whose real name is Jaquan Pickens. The group posed for photos in front of the burial site of Royale Devon Smith Jr., known as 23. Smith, who was only 18 years old, had been in a car with his best friend Yungeen Ace and 2 other teens in June 2018 when he was shot and killed. The photos taken at Smith's grave showed several people holding their shoes up to Smith's grave marker, flipping off the camera, and forming their hands into the shape of guns or gang signs. These photos were posted on social media, and it didn't take long for ATK and NHG members to vow payback. This graveyard incident was a blatant act of disrespect and a clear provocation, setting the stage for a series of violent retaliations. The first major retaliation came on May 17th when a Bully Gang member who rapped under the name BGY Bezzy was gunned down in the 3600 block of Effie Street in Jacksonville's Moncrief Park area. Police were called to the area after gunfire erupted, and when officers arrived, they found 2 boys and 1 adult male, all suffering life-threatening injuries. BGE Bezzy, whose real name is Adrian McKenzie, was only 16 years old. He was rushed to the hospital, where he was pronounced dead. 4 days later, McKenzie's family attempted to hold a memorial for him on the same block where he was shot, but the violence didn't stop there. Gunmen returned to the area and opened fire on the memorial where people were gathered to release balloons. A woman was treated and released at the hospital after being shot in the arm. No arrests were made in either shooting. On August 16th at 3 p.m., a truck driver's vehicle broke down near the Trout River Bridge on northbound Interstate 95 at Zoo Parkway. The driver told police he felt the impact of a vehicle rear-ending his truck. That vehicle was a green Dodge Challenger driven by 18-year-old Jaquan Pickens, also known as Jake Jett. He was pronounced dead at the scene of the crash, which blocked I-95 for much of the afternoon into the evening. According to police, Pickens' vehicle crashed after it was being chased and shot at by another vehicle. It's unknown if he died as a result of the shooting or the crash. No arrests were made. As is customary in the killings of drill rappers, their rivals mocked them in songs on social media. Jacksonville rapper Wappa Wit Da Choppa, an NHG member, released a song making reference to Pickens about a year ago with the verse, "Who the f*** is Jake Jett? We don't know. Just another name gonna be added to the score." The day after Pickens was killed, another Bully Gang member, a man who goes by the name Lou Kobe, was shot in Jacksonville's Brentwood neighborhood. That shooting occurred around 7 p.m. in the 900 block of Crestwood Street. Police arrived at that scene and found the man suffering from a gunshot wound to his chest. A youth football team called the Duval Dolphins was practicing nearby. The victim, who survived, was taken to the hospital in critical condition. No arrests were made in Pickens or Lou Kobe's shootings. At around 11:45 p.m. on October 6, 2023, Jacksonville police were called to the 7400 block of Kylan Drive in response to gunfire. Responding officers arrived to find 2 dead men inside a vehicle. One of the men was identified as Tilly, who was only 19 years old. The other man was an innocent Uber driver named Bryant Grund, 31 years old, who was caught in the crossfire while giving Tilly a ride. A few weeks later, 22-year-old Juquan Mills was charged with 2 counts of second-degree murder, and 23-year-old Diamond Michaela Harris was charged with accessory after the fact. A family member of Tilly told First Coast News that Tilly had been texting with a woman and arranging to meet up with her, only to be ambushed. Mills told detectives that Tilly had $20,000 on his head, meaning whoever killed him would receive a $20,000 payment. Mills claimed he got paid $10,000 for the murder because he had to split it with the second shooter. Just hours after Tilly's death, Foolio was shot in a separate incident. The shooting occurred near the 3100 block of 18th Street W in Jacksonville, a residential neighborhood less than a mile from Paxson School for Advanced Studies. The car Foolio was driving, a black Dodge Challenger, was riddled with bullet holes. The Jacksonville Sheriff's Office stated, "It appears that the suspect or suspects were waiting for for the victim and ambushed him. Foolio managed to drive himself to UF Health Jacksonville, where he was treated for a severe injury to his foot. This marked the fourth time Foolio had been targeted by gunmen, and once again, he survived. In the months following Tilly's death, no one was more vocal in mocking him than Julian House, a 21-year-old bully gang rapper who performed under the name Rico Osama. On December 12, 2023, at around 4 p.m., Jacksonville police were called to the 6300 block of San Juan Avenue for reports of multiple people shot. One of the victims managed to escape the scene and reach a nearby business. Another victim was taken to the hospital where he was treated and released. The third victim, Rico Osama, was found shot to death in a parking lot. Family members told First Coast News that he had been recording at a nearby studio before being ambushed. The Jacksonville Sheriff's Office reported that the shooters were wearing black masks, covering their faces, and fled on foot. No arrests were made. After years of both ATK and KTA losing gang members and their leaders, Foolio and Yungeen Ace, narrowly escaping death themselves, an event soon led to a major player being taken off the board. Foolio's death and further escalation. On Sunday, June 24, 2024, KTA suffered its biggest loss yet with the tragic incident that led to the untimely death of its rapper, Foolio. The location of this heartbreaking event was the car park of a Holiday Inn hotel in Tampa, Florida. Foolio was celebrating his 26th birthday, a milestone that should have been filled with joy and festivity, but instead ended in a brutal and shocking ambush. Foolio had been sharing his birthday celebrations with his 1 million Instagram followers. His post depicted a night of merriment, with Foolio expressing his excitement and gratitude for what he described as the best birthday ever. He had invited his followers to a pool party, asking them to message him directly for the address. The celebrations, however, took a turn when police shut down the party at an Airbnb, forcing Foolio and his friends to relocate to the Holiday Inn. It was here, in the hotel's car park, that the fatal ambush occurred. Foolio was inside a vehicle when he was shot. The attack was sudden and violent, leaving little time for reaction. Another vehicle nearby was also hit, adding to the chaos and confusion of the scene. The shooting not only claimed Foolio's life, but also resulted in injuries to 3 other individuals who were subsequently taken to the hospital and are now reported to be in stable condition. The details of the shooting are still under investigation, with authorities working tirelessly to piece together the events of that fateful night. Foolio's lawyer, Louis Fusco, confirmed the tragic news, describing the attack as an ambush. Fusco's statement highlighted the sudden and unexpected nature of the assault, which has left many questions unanswered. However, one of the questions was seemingly answered when Foolio's longtime rival and enemy, Yungeen Ace, and his gang took to social media to celebrate Foolio's death. Just hours after Foolio's death, Yungeen Ace released a diss track titled "Do It." The timing of the release was no coincidence. It was a calculated move designed to send a message. The lyrics of the track are aggressive and taunting, with lines like 7 days a week, we run this bitch, we spinning, any day this week, I bet a niggas come up missing. The track also includes references to Foolio's death. The release of "Do It" mere hours after Foolio's death has led to widespread speculation about Ace's involvement in the shooting. Many fans and observers believe that the track is a veiled admission of guilt, with Ace boasting about his crew's ability to make people come up missing. The timing and content of the track have only fueled the rumors and speculation surrounding Foolio's death. Meanwhile, another ATK member and Yungeen Ace's close collaborator, Spinnabenz, took to social media with a reaction that shocked everyone. Spinnabenz, whose real name is Noah Williams, posted a series of celebratory messages on his Instagram account, seemingly mocking Foolio's death. "Game over. We won," he remarked, igniting a firestorm of reactions. The internet exploded with outrage. Fans and followers couldn't believe the audacity of Spinnabenz's posts. One user on X, formerly known as Twitter, wrote, "Spinnabenz and Wappa with the chopper sampling Chingy Holiday Inn to diss Foolio. I can feel it." Another added, "This is disgusting. Rip Foolio. Spinnabenz needs to find Christ." Spinnabenz, known for his aggressive style and provocative lyrics, has often found himself at the center of feuds and rivalries within the rap community. But this time, his actions seemed to cross a line. The celebratory tone of his posts in the wake of Foolio's death was seen by many as deeply insensitive and disrespectful. Spinnabenz's disrespectful post was quickly answered by another shooting, which claimed the life of Darius Beal, a 29-year-old father of 3, who was known for his dedication to his children and his active involvement in their lives. On the evening of Friday, June 28, 2024, Beal spent quality time with his kids, engaging in activities that brought joy and laughter to their home in the Laurel Grove Apartments in Orange Park. Around 10 p.m., Beal stepped outside to the parking lot, possibly to check on his children or or to take a moment for himself. The parking lot, usually a place of mundane activities like parking cars and casual conversations, would soon become the scene of a horrific crime. As Beal stood outside, the night seemed peaceful, with no indication of the impending danger. At approximately 11 p.m., calm was shattered. Neighbors reported hearing 4 to 5 gunshots, a sound that initially confused many. One neighbor, who wished to remain anonymous, explained that given the upcoming holidays, they thought the sounds were fireworks. The children's continued screams and playfulness did not immediately signal an emergency, adding to the initial confusion. Beal was struck multiple times by the gunfire. The exact sequence of events in those critical moments remains unclear, but what is known is that Beal was left severely injured. The shooter, whose identity and motives are still unknown, fled the scene, leaving Beal fighting for his life. The chaos that ensued was evident as neighbors and passersby realized the gravity of the situation. Emergency services were quickly called, and paramedics arrived to find Beal in critical condition. Despite their best efforts to stabilize him, the injuries were too severe. Beal was rushed to the hospital, where medical staff worked tirelessly to save him. Tragically, their efforts were in vain, and Beal succumbed to his injuries. After his death, Beal was linked to ATK member Licky, and it was soon revealed that they were brothers. Licky is also a close associate of Spinabin's, and Beal's death seems like KTA's way of getting their pound of flesh. Meanwhile, law enforcement officials have been tight-lipped about the investigation into Foolio's, but they have confirmed that no arrests have been made yet. On June 24, 2024, Tampa Police Chief Lee Burkaw held a press conference to update the public on the investigation. "We are working day in and day out on this case," Burkaw stated. "We have gathered significant leads and are collaborating with the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, the ATF, the FBI, and our local prosecutor, Susie Lopez. I can guarantee you we are going to be following up and making arrests in this case." Chief Burkaw also revealed that investigators are scrutinizing social media posts to help solve the crime. "There are indications that the killing could be tied to rappers in rival gangs," Burkaw noted, hinting at the possibility that Foolio's ongoing feud with Yungeen Ace may have played a role in the murder. The introduction of the FBI to the investigation of Foolio's murder might mean a RICO case being built against ATK and KTA, and more eyes on Yungeen Ace now more than ever before. If a RICO case does indeed materialize, ATK and KTA will go down just like PCE did, and maybe the people of Jacksonville will finally be able to walk around without the violence that has surrounded them for years. For more content like this, click on the videos showing on your screen now.